107.3 HFM thanks everyone for listening to Community Radio. We really value your support. The management of Heritage FM Inc. advises our listeners that the views expressed by announcers are their own and not necessarily the views of the management and members of the association.
This week on Making IT Easy, we're talking about editing or unsending messages. Tony's going to talk to us about the Twitter Blue rollout, what it means, what it costs. We're talking about wellness in terms of New Year's Eve and what your projections might be for the next year and how to use tech. And we're going to use WhatsApp this afternoon. So thank you very much for joining us on 107.3, the voice of your community. Thank you very much for James Ray for In Your Neighbourhood, a fabulous show as ever. And we're going to go straight to a song today. We're going to go to James Brown with I Got You, I Feel Good.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. A sugar and spice. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. Sugar and spice. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. Sugar and spice. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. So nice, so nice that I got you. Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I would. You so good, so good, but I got you. So good, so good, but I got you.
And thank you for joining us. 107.3 HFM, Making IT Easy with Tony and Kay.
Good afternoon.
In the building.
How's it going? Well, that was a bit of a rush to craziness.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, we decided to use Studio One today, so there was a bit of a quick shuffle handover from James to us, and as usual, technology doesn't always go exactly to plan, even for the tech heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Tony, we are talking first up about tips and tricks. I think we're going to recap what we talked about last week, which was changing the screen size, I remember, because I have spent the week trying to undo what I did last time. Some of it I'm keeping, but some of it I'm trying to go back to it. So I now notice that a lot of the things on my phone have changed size. So when I actually open my phone and I need to use a code, not a code, the grid, I've got the option of using my finger on the grid to get in.
Pattern.
That's actually much smaller than it was before, so I'm still trying to figure out how to increase that. But I've got more real estate now on my front of my phone for all my apps. So I've been moving my apps around and having fun with that. That was something we talked about a couple of shows ago, moving the apps around, which has been really great. So,
Right.
yeah, let's
just quickly recover that. I
well, I
suppose.
guess I did that a little bit. Yeah.
Settings is the place to go. Remember how to get to settings, whether you've got an Apple or an Android device. Scrolling down from the top of the screen on your Androids, on your Apple, look for the settings cog, and then we want to look for something called display. So in the Android space, there's usually a main heading called display, and just kind of drill down. So tap on display and have a look at the options there, and you'll find something called display size and text, or maybe size and text.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there are options to change the overall size, so zooms everything all in one hit. And that's when your icons, if they were like 4 across and 5 down, become 3 across and 4 down, and things go to the next page.
Yep.
And when you undo that, they don't come back. So you have to kind of be mindful that things might move around between a couple of screens.
And then I went to my, I think you call it my system tray or my icon tray, and then I was able to press and hold and drag it back onto my main screen. So
Yep.
it was actually quite an interesting experience, because I had 4 icons on the bottom of my front screen, and then when I changed the size and changed them back again, they disappeared. And it was like, what was there? I don't remember. And then as the week has progressed, I've automatically gone with that muscle memory to go and tap on something like on that third space, and it's like, it's missing. That's what it was. So it was actually quite cool.
So you remember tapping on it, but you still don't remember what it was, right?
No, that's right. I mean, I remember now because I've replaced them all, but it took most of the week to find that third one. That was the one that was missing.
Okay.
Muscle memory took me there. It was cool.
So the two things to keep in mind there is you can change the overall display size so it kind of zooms in everything, or you can leave your icons as they are and just change the size of your text. And that can be done basically as a global setting across all of your apps, or you can actually do it when you've got an app open. I found out the hard way that Apple doesn't let you do that. But if you're in a message, for example, in your messages or something with text on the screen, you can pinch and zoom, and it will zoom in on that and retain that setting going forward in that app. But Apple doesn't seem to do that.
Right. Okay.
So that was
Not very often you hear that, is it? Apple can't do that.
Well, yeah, they have
to happen sometimes.
other methods for that, which I guess it gets around the problem that you had with things disappearing. Apple kind of stop you from doing those things so that you don't.
Yes, they're very controlling.
You don't struggle as much. So that's a quick recap. Look for settings, display, and just have a drill down. And when you're in there, there's a whole lot of things to play around with the display. And I've mentioned this before. Just cherry bite a few things. Go into display, have a look. There's things like brightness level, adaptive brightness, all sorts of things like that you can play with. I'm
actually going to start popping some of those tips and tricks on our socials. I started a little bit before, but just pulling one of them out at a time and putting them onto our feed. So yeah, if you're heading towards the webpage or our social media, then you might come across some of those.
Fantastic.
Before we go, there was a on the PC, there's like a minus and plus.
Control plus and control minus.
Right.
That kind of zooms in. It's more useful in a program. So like on the
if
Windows
you're in Word
start
or
screen.
something. Yeah.
If you're in Word or in the internet's probably the most useful time, because you might have a lot of text on the screen and you want to zoom in a little bit. You can just hold down Control and press the plus and minus, and they're usually up the top of the keyboard in your numbers.
Yeah.
So just hold down Control and just tap plus, and it will zoom in, I think, 5% at a time, something like that.
Yeah, that's got me out of trouble
minus.
Yeah.
And also across the top of the toolbars, usually once you do that, it brings down a little menu to show you what it's doing, so you can go back to 100% if you're like, oh, it's so big, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah.
It's reasonably easy to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, let's hit another song before we move on to our tips and tricks for today. I'm very, very loosely doing a New Year's Eve kind of theme today, but that was very, very loose. So some of it is about being happy, some of it's changing the year, some of it is so loose that I'm using Come On Lean by the Dexy Midnight Runners, because midnight is in the title of so very loose.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but we're going to do The Foundations with Build Me Up Buttercup, a fun song.
Never thought, baby, when you say you will. But I love you
time your internet buffers, lags, or drops out, I want you to say it with me, Perth. We deserve better internet. Get your internet flying through the air quick as a flash. Pentanet is Perth's own private internet network, delivering super fast fixed wireless internet in selected coverage areas. With $0 standard install for a 12-month home or business fixed wireless plan, join Pentanet and make the switch to fast, reliable, local internet. Search Pentanet now.
Station sponsor.
107.3 HFM, the voice of your community, is proudly supported by
Cartridge World, Armidale.
Ausland 181.
Neighbourhood Watch, Armidale.
Become a corporate member and support the voice of your community. Go to the webpage heritagefm.org for email details or to find out more.
Hi, Dave Faulkner here from the Hoodoo Gurus, and you're tuned to 107.3 HFM, the voice of your community.
And you're on Making IT Easy with Tony and Kay, talking about tips and tricks for how to send and unsend messages.
Indeed.
Well, not so much send messages, I presume. Everyone should know how to send messages.
Yeah, don't assume, right? Often I get asked if there's a way to take back something that you've said.
Yeah.
Look, just don't say it in the first place is the safest the safest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Take a breath. We'll cover some of those things that
we're actually doing that next week. We're actually talking about online etiquette and well, they call it netiquette. And one of those things, there's an acronym, I think it's called THINK, and it talks about the different things you should go through before you actually press send on that message. It's actually a really good picture, but we'll talk about that next week.
There's also lots of different levels, whether you're having a casual conversation with a loved one, a friend or whatever, or whether it's more business related or more official, because even the social stuff, the social media communications now is still, across the board. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can be talking to all sorts of people in all different walks of life, in all different levels. So just because it's a text message doesn't mean it needs to be blasé. It can also be a very formal thing.
Absolutely.
So I guess the upshot is some of these apps and programs give you the ability to undo if you act quickly. That's generally what happens.
Well, it doesn't have to be quickly. We're going to talk about WhatsApp later on. And I've actually been in the position, this is potentially terrible, but I've been in the position that I've actually sent a message. Mm-hmm. I've seen that they've read it, and then I've undone it.
Okay.
Because that was actually part of the message I was sending. Like, I'm saying this, and then I'm going to not say this, and then we're going to talk about this.
Oh, okay. So
deliberately sending and then unsending the message.
Oh, that's messing with somebody's head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I like that.
It's also worth noting at this point, talking about messing with people's head, when you actually send a message, often when you open it to have a look, not necessarily when you sort of see the notification, but when you open it, it indicates that you've seen it. Mm-hmm. And some people feel very, very uncomfortable if they know that you've seen it and you haven't responded to it or acknowledged it in some way. Mm. So that's just a conversation to have with people who.
Well, there's a whole philosophy around that, isn't it? Because notifications generally pop up on your screen that somebody has sent you a message, and you might get one or two lines of that message.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's the rest of the message? But I don't want to open it because then it acknowledges that I've seen it,
and at that
then
point,
there's a call to action.
That's
so you need to look. The stuff is here for you. This technology is here for you. The phone is there for you. If you don't want to answer it, if you don't want to respond, there is no one holding a gun to your head to do that.
True.
Right? So it's your convenience, not the person who's sending the stuff to you.
At the same time, there should be or could be some empathy for the person who's receiving the message, who might find that it's very difficult.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So we're talking about the little ticks that pop up.
That's it. Yeah.
To show that somebody has acknowledged or read the message.
And you could probably correct me here, or we'll just clarify this. I understand, generally speaking, if you get a grey tick, it means it's been sent, or it might come up and say sent, depending on the app. If it's a blue tick, it means that it's been received, and a double blue tick means that they've read it.
It's this is WhatsApp specifically.
Okay.
Grey, one single grey means it hasn't sent it yet. Two single greys means it's been sent and received, but not read.
Right.
And then when they go green,
they've
actually read it.
Okay.
Anyway, so
unsending
WhatsApp. I've got a comment here. WhatsApp rubbish bin. Yeah. Okay. If you long press remember we talked about long press. Long press is a wonderful thing in all sorts of things.
You can
Android
long press in WhatsApp.
You long press the message. You would do that anyway, right? You long press the message and it pops up with, what do you want to do with this message? Forward it to somebody, copy it, whatever. And one of the options, there's a rubbish bin. Okay.
Right, yep.
You can also comment. You can long press and then bring up
See, I tend
smiley
to
face.
swipe.
Well, you can swipe too, presumably.
Yeah, I don't think I long press. I think I swipe and it comes up with the same options.
Play around with the options, everyone.
There we go.
But anyway, it brings up a context menu of that message, and one of the options is a rubbish bin, which allows you to delete the message. Now, I think what WhatsApp does is if they haven't read it at their end, it will remove it from their message before they've seen it, and again it says message has been deleted.
Yeah, so you can't get away without them ever having seen that you've sent something. It still says the message has been deleted, so they know something has gone.
Yes, but if they've seen it in the notification, the first line of it,
they may already know.
They may already know, even though there's not a tick to say that they've actually read it. So it's all a bit guess.
And I think that's the same in Messenger as well. Facebook Messenger, very similar.
It's all very much guesswork.
And it pops up with a message saying, do you want to delete it for just you or for everyone?
Messenger specifically gives you unsend and remove for you. Remove
I don't know why you would want to do just remove for you. I don't.
Yeah, I've never used that. I can't think of a logical reason, but somebody thought about that. Maybe it was easy to implement that functionality.
Yeah, well, certainly there are some apps, and I can't remember them off the top of my head. I think text message is exactly that. You can remove it for just you.
Only you.
And that's it.
SMS, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's a tap, a long press or a tap to give up that menu, and you can delete it just for you. So I
you can pretend you haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean it hasn't gone.
You can do a screenshot then of your sent item, your message thread for that person and send it to them. So I never sent anything. Don't know what you're talking about. It actually removes it completely. Yeah, it doesn't have this message was deleted in the SMS. It's gone.
Oh, right.
So there's no history in your thread for it.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas the other ones, Messenger and WhatsApp, say that a message was deleted.
Okay.
So when we talk about email, that's a little bit more interesting.
Oh.
Technically, really, once you've sent an email,
I thought that was
it's gone. But when you think about it, your device is connected to the internet, much like these other things are, and it needs to spool. So it goes into the outbox, and then it does its spooling, connects to the server, and sends the message. So if you miraculously were able to break the internet at the moment you hit send, it won't go. It'd stay in your outbox and not go. Right?
Okay.
Things like services like Gmail and Outlook give you a few seconds. It might be 4 or 5 seconds. It pops up when you hit send in the bottom corner of the screen, an undo option. So you can, if you're quick enough, you can go undo and it will stop sending the message at that point. But it's literally only 3-4 seconds thereabouts that it pops up and gives you that option.
So if you knew how to turn your Wi-Fi on and off fast, and I know that there's a keyboard key to do that.
There is.
If you were to turn your Wi-Fi off fast enough, then it probably wouldn't send, and that would give you time to figure out how to delete the little...
Assuming you're using Wi-Fi and you're not using an Ethernet connection,
right,
like via a cable, because even if you pull the cable out, it might fall back to Wi-Fi. So it's trying to be efficient and have all these backup systems and everything going. So
it's not a good idea to turn off your PC in the middle of things. But like if this was like critical, turning off your PC immediately,
maybe if it was a PC running on power and the power instantly went off, that's fine. If you close the lid on your laptop, it'll process what's in the queue before, and unplugging the lead on a laptop won't work unless your battery's dead. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I mean, realistically, you hit send on a message. Are you going to change your mind in the next 3 or 4 seconds? Not
only if you accidentally hit send, and that's not as silly as it sounds. Sometimes the button is next to other buttons, or you press enter and you didn't realise you're on the send key. It's not unheard of. But an email being so critical that it's going to require that level of launching yourself at the power button to turn it off is relatively unheard of, I think.
Well, look, there are some tips just in general when we talk about emails. Try not to write them when you're angry. Because generally, you after you've written it down, you take a breath and you feel better about it.
Yeah.
You're like,
this is what drafts are for.
I vented.
Maybe that's how you accidentally send it. You create the draft, and then instead of actually saving it as a draft, you actually...
Well, it used to be Control-S used to be save.
Oh.
And some S for save, S for send.
Right. Okay, not good.
So, people got caught a few times doing that. What I like to do, if I want to have a venti kind of ranty email, is I remove the recipient from the to list.
I actually put the recipient in the content of the email.
Yeah, just copy it or cut it from the to list and put it in the body of the email. And if there's a long thread of people, you can cut all of it, you know, and put it all the CCs or all that stuff in there. So you don't lose it, but you don't accidentally.
And then you can send it on it until tomorrow, or you can send it to a friend and ask them to proofread it for you.
Yeah, look, send it to a friend, sleep on it.
Yeah.
Great options. Or you could just not put it in writing. Make a voice call if you're that inclined.
Well, you can't undo a voice call.
You can't, but you know,
there's no evidence of it, but you can't undo it.
Exactly, but you know, some people can record these things. It's possible now.
That's
There's all
very
sorts
true.
of automatic recording apps and things like that.
But the other thing is, actually, one of the things in the netiquette that it was suggested was to use emoticons. Now, I kind of beat myself up about using them too much, but they were suggesting it's very important because you don't have the voice to recognise the emotion or the empathy. It comes across very harsh in an email, and actually putting in that smiley face or the sad face or the angry face actually gives them some sort of context as to how you're feeling.
But it is open a bit to interpretation because, you know, the difference between a single tear and the double tear, you know, the tears streaming down your face, you know, there's very different connotations of that kind of stuff. And it's a bit personal, the relationship you have with emoticons. But if you're talking to people that you know, then you have some idea how these things, you know, the kissy face to your brother might be perfectly fine, but someone else
to a co-worker, not so much.
So so anyway, look, you can unsend things. You just have to be mindful about the methods and how quickly you act. So it's probably better to think about it before you send it.
So to just cover that, if it's an email, you've got a couple of seconds at best before you can't retrieve it. And you probably, I think in the movies, they break into somebody's house to steal their laptop to make sure they don't get the email.
But it's on the cloud now, so it doesn't matter what device you're using, right? You've got it on your phone, your laptop. You can log into the internet anywhere and access it.
Okay, so breaking into a house is not going to work. You've heard that second on 107.3. If WhatsApp sounds like it's a really good deal because you have the option of removing it, like for you and the other person, same with Facebook Messenger, owned by the same people. If it's a text message, you can generally only delete it on your own side, not the other side.
That's right.
Okay, let's have another song. Van Morrison, Bright Side of the Road. Did we just do that? No, we didn't. No, I'm just putting it in here, haven't done it yet. Van Morrison, Bright Side of the Road. Ready for a new year.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Street
If you find yourself on the wrong side of the law, SJB Legal can help. Our experience and expertise in criminal law can help you make the most of an unfortunate situation. A strong solicitor-client relationship is a first step towards achieving a favourable outcome. We are proud of being a smaller firm capable of providing good old-fashioned service at more reasonable prices, because we don't incur the bigger overheads of many larger firms. If you are looking for solutions rather than arguments, call station sponsor SJB Legal on 9490 1660.
We got power and could lift, box up.
Before our superhero can save the world, he has to battle a very powerful foe of his own. Muscular dystrophy.
I've got big muscle.
Muscular dystrophy is a life-threatening, muscle-wasting disease that destroys young lives, muscle by muscle.
I'm the toughest. I'm the toughest.
Please help in the fight for a cure. Contact Muscular Dystrophy Association now at mda.org.au.
In Canning Vale, Oakford and Darling Downs, we're the voice of your community. 107.3 HFM.
And in the news, Tony, we have...
Oh, wow, okay. We're talking about Twitter Blue.
Right.
And a couple of other things. 3 news articles today. So Twitter Blue is a new subscription service, or relatively new subscription service from Twitter, that gives users access to exclusive perks and features. What exclusive perks and features? It's the first ever subscription service from a social media platform. Okay. And it's
subscription service.
Yes. And it's designed to give users more control over their Twitter experience. And you get the highly sought-after blue check mark next to your profile icon.
Should we just do a quick recap on the gossip about Twitter, like just the abridged version?
Okay.
It was bought out by Elon Musk, yes.
For some ridiculous $1 billion.
Yeah, because he had it to spare, apparently. And then...
He tried to get out of it.
He removed some people from it, some journalists. He added back in Donald Trump, a couple of things like that, some opinions that weren't very, didn't get taken very well. He got rid of most of the staff, I think. There was a massive, and then there was a bit of a backlash. So he posted asking people their general opinion about whether he should stay on board or not, and more than 50% of people said go away. So he is now looking for a replacement CEO or person to take over Twitter. Yeah. Okay. So in amongst all this that's been going on,
So the whole idea of the blue check mark going back was this is a real person, because anybody can create a Twitter account and make up that I am the president of the United States.
Right.
So the idea of the blue check mark was that it's verified and ratified that you are actually who you are.
Oh, okay. Right.
And I think that became. I don't think it was a paid service, but now it is. So you actually pay to be a subscribed member of Twitter, and with that comes the credence of who you are and some extra benefits that they throw into.
Which means you would need to provide some identity documents to Twitter for them to confirm who you are. Yeah, our friend James is going to be delighted. Delighted.
So it's called Twitter Blue, and it's around about $3 US a month.
Okay.
Right, which is, what's that, about $10 or something?
Yeah. So what else do you get other than just having a tick saying that you're ratified?
Apparently you get a range of exclusive features.
Okay. Yep.
Let me rattle them off, and you tell me whether you think they're exclusive or not. You get custom app themes, so you can personalise your Twitter app into a variety of colours and fonts and other customisations. I mean, you would argue that should be a standard thing.
Yeah.
Why should you pay for that? But anyway, you can't do it if you don't have it.
However, that is becoming quite significant in terms of transferring to Facebook now. You can get an overlay for your face pic. So if you want to support LGBTQ, or if you want to support a particular sporting theme, or if you want to support a special day, or then you can actually have these overlays, and they're actually quite significant.
Skins or themes or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they're calling it overlays.
To show yourself as being part of that group and supporting a particular theme. So I can see why that might become quite important. Anyway, keep going.
Bookmarks. You can save your favourite tweets and easily find them later.
I would have thought that would have been,
you can undo a tweet. Now, this is interesting, talking about... it allows users to undo any tweet they've already sent. Okay.
Do you think Donald Trump would have used that? I'd pay more if you could undo a tweet that somebody else has sent.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, I haven't subscribed to Blue, so I don't know. So I can't play with these options. All I can read is what people have said about them.
That actually really bothers me, that you can put a tweet out there and you can't remove it from social media, that you can't remove it from the world. That's quite problematic. Okay, anyway.
There's a reader mode, which allows you to view threads in a more reader-friendly format, so presumably it expands the threads or groups them together, which makes things a bit... Like, navigating Twitter is really painful, trying to search for stuff and finding things.
Yep.
But it doesn't, to me, sound like a lot of these things are going to help in that regard. But anyway, and also access to premium features. So you get access to expanded selections of features, which doesn't really say much, but you get things like longer video times, and there's additional analytics. So you can look at how many people have seen your tweet, and probably by demographic or by region or those kinds of things, which is kind of useful if you're looking to try and figure out how your tweets are going out there in the world. There are also some exclusive perks. Dedicated customer support. Early access to new features before they're available for the general public, but then that's just the beta program that most other organisations provide. And generally you don't charge somebody to have early access to beta you actually use the beta testers. So interestingly enough, they're charging for that. And apparently there are special offers that will come up from time to time, although they haven't suggested what they might be. So, look, 10 Australian dollars a month, I'd rather spend it on Netflix.
Something else, yeah, that's right. Okay.
But there you go. Twitter Blue, at its roots, it's about verifying who you are. And obviously they want to try and get some money back. After this huge amount of money that has been spent.
Okay.
iPhone saves the day.
Okay.
It was a Christmas Day miracle when a woman who had gone missing after leaving a family Christmas gathering was found 200 feet below Highway 18 in the mountainous area north of San Bernardino in California. Relatives used the Find My iPhone feature to locate the woman, whose name has not been released. It's believed that the crash occurred sometime overnight as she left her family gathering. Astonishingly, the crash went unreported for hours, with the woman inside the car and the wreck out of view of the drivers on the highway. The woman was eventually located by the San Bernardino County Fire Department, who responded to the scene after the family contacted them saying, "We found this iPhone thing," and they found rescuers found the vehicle in a ravine, and the woman was trapped inside. It took them 2 hours to get her out. Once she was freed, taken to the nearby hospital for treatment of injuries, and she's expected to make a full recovery. So kudos to the family member, the tech-savvy family member who used Find My iPhone to help locate this woman. And kudos to the San Bernardino County Fire personnel to
listening to somebody telling them what was going on.
Sort all that stuff out. So this holiday season, it's a bit of a reminder, and technology is here for us.
Yes.
It can be a really powerful tool, and in this is a good example in a time of crisis where it helped in an emergency. So learn how to use your tech. If you don't have Find My iPhone turned on your device, which I think is default by anybody using an iPhone or an iDevice, learn how to use it.
And practice with it.
So
absolutely. You know what to do if there's an emergency.
Exactly. And the Androids have Find My Phone as well. Options. Find My Android, I think it's called. And even the PCs and laptops in Windows have that kind of stuff as well. So not that you're going to be, necessarily trying to track down your laptop.
Yep.
But yes, all of these devices have a GPS tracking facility. If it's turned on and you know how to use it, it can help. So awesome. And one more just to round it off. No show would be complete without a chat about data breaches.
It'll be nice when we can have a show without chat about data breaches, but go on.
Do you use a password manager app or program, Kay?
Yes, I do. And at your suggestion?
Yes, we use one called Bitwarden, I think. Yes, is the latest one that we're using.
We used a couple.
LastPass has been in the news since about August. Back in August this year, LastPass announced that they were hacked, and they hacked into their development environment. Mm-hmm. So if you know anything about the computing life cycle and how they generally have a development environment and a production environment. So you take a copy of the code from the production environment and you put it into the development environment, and you use that for all your testing. Right, so you have test data in there, so all the testers that are working on the application, the program, do all their testing in this development environment. Right, it shouldn't have any real live data, no real people's names, all just test data. Okay.
However,
there's no however. That's how the development environment works.
Right,
completely separate and segregated, usually on separate servers, on separate boxes, and separate. So there's no correlation between them, other than they copy one to the other to do their testing. Mm-hmm. So this is what was hacked at LastPass. They got into the development environment.
Yep.
So the risk of that, of course, is that they know the source code, if you like, so they can figure out a way to reverse engineer maybe the encryption that they use or something like that, but they have no hands-on access to any user data.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what happened in August. So everybody says, okay, naughty LastPass for not protecting their development environment as strongly as they should, but, no harm's been done.
Yep.
However, in December just past, they're now saying that in the development environment or thereabouts in that area, they had backups of the customer data vaults. So those were apparently stolen. So the data vault is a level of encrypted information that the customer has with their passwords and all that kind of stuff in there. Right. The data vaults are protected by an encrypted password. So unless you have the password to get into the data vault, you can't get in there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But potentially these guys have access to these data vaults. Just to add insult to injury, not everything that LastPass saves in your accounts is encrypted. So passwords are encrypted. Usernames are not. URLs so the actual website that you go to access westpacbanking.com, whatever, that's not encrypted, but the password to it is, but your username isn't.
Okay.
So if you're the sort of person that uses the site name or your username or something in your password, there's much more chance of these hackers being able to massage the data and guess your passwords. So the jury are basically saying that this is the last straw for LastPass, and you should be looking elsewhere for password programming things.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what a lot of IT companies out there are saying.
It's not a case of lightning rarely strikes twice and they're going to be safer than anywhere else?
Maybe they'll bolster things up, but, I think they're basically saying 2 strikes and we're not going to give you the chance for a third.
Yeah.
But if you do have a lot of stuff in LastPass, change your master password and change all of your passwords in it, and you're as good as, starting again from scratch anyway.
Yeah.
Because you have a new data vault with new...
Change all your passwords in it?
Yeah.
How long would that take us?
Potentially a long time.
Yeah.
But then, a lot of the passwords might be old and not used anymore for a lot of... maybe there's only 20 important passwords that we use every day, and some of them are really rare ones that you're quite happy to reset. You're like, I didn't store that one. Let's go back in and just do a password reset, etc., etc.
Yeah. I've actually been doing that, the suggestion you made about having a phrase. I have a phrase and then I have a number and then I use one of the special characters. And I'm finding it quite interesting now, going back after a couple of months, and I can see the letters and it's like, what on earth was the phrase that goes with those letters? So maybe I have to start writing the phrase down as well. So
obviously that's the benefit of these password programs. You don't have to remember anything except your master password, and if you're using biometric security, fingerprint or facial recognition stuff, then you don't even need to remember your master password. So that's the way moving forward. And of course they're doing the other stuff now where you put in your username and it sends you a 2-factor authentication check to your phone.
Yeah.
Put in the code and that logs you in, so you don't have to remember a password at all.
Yeah.
So these are things that are working, coming forward. So hopefully things will get better. But
it's been a big wake-up call.
Be mindful of there are many options of these password programs, and unless you've got a lot of money invested in your account with LastPass, the general consensus is you should be looking elsewhere.
Okay, good opportunity to do so anyway.
All right.
Is the stress and burden of doing your own bookkeeping overwhelming? Station sponsor AW Bookkeeping and Secretarial Services specialise in MYOB, BAS, payroll, debt collecting and much more. They will help you to develop and implement procedures that are customised for you. AW Bookkeeping hold the competitive edge in customer service, striving to make your business successful. With 23 years of knowledge and experience, AW Bookkeeping will assist you with all of your bookkeeping and secretarial needs. Contact Amanda 0438 307 730.
In Forest Lakes, Cannington and Keysbrook, we're the voice of your community. 107.3 HFM.
107.3 HFM, as the man said. You're here with Making IT Easy with Tony and Kay. We're actually going to be here until 2. Helping you with Making IT Easy, and then we're going to go and have a break and come back at 7 p.m.
Oh, 7, we decided?
We decided on 7, okay. Yeah. If you have a look on your socials, you'll see it.
Okay.
So we're going to do a 7 until 10-ish, 7-ish songs per decade from the 50s through until current. So stay with us later on this evening. Unfortunately, Fourth Dimension isn't on this evening. So, yeah, we're going to kind of take their spot for a little bit and do a bit of a New Year's Eve special.
Okay, we might set the phones up so people can call in with requests.
Yes.
9398 3100.
That sounds perfect.
9398 3100.
Yeah.
And, we'll take some requests. I'm thinking we might kind of do a little bit of a party dancey stuff towards the end, closer to midnight. Well, closer to 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just see how we go.
Yeah. All right. We're going to see how we go. Socials. In our socials. Look, there hasn't been a lot of stuff in the socials over the last week or so, or today. I think everyone's on holidays and posting personal stuff more than the stuff that we want to share here. However, Teresa Lyons, who I follow, is the Mayor City of Gosnells, and she's actually posted that the state government's Swan Canning River Park Urban Forest Program has received $250,000.
Wow.
Thank you very much. They're going to re-vegetate. I was going to say regenerate, probably the same thing.
Revegetate.
Yeah, 10 acres of foreshore along the Canning and Southern Rivers, and the city's going to contribute another $150,000 to this project. So I think that's actually a really nice idea. Both the rivers and the surrounding areas provide habitat for wildlife, and they're looking forward to seeing how that's going to progress. So yeah, city's foreshore regeneration works.
Good stuff.
I'll also mention the Oak Tree. It's a play that's coming up. It's being written by a local woman. I think it's Fifi Productions is the name of the group. And I believe Fiona Blakely is the local writer. And they're doing a story or a play about an oak tree that's more than 150 years old as the inspiration for this play. And apparently the oak tree follows the trials of Kate and Lenny, a couple who buy a farm in Byford but are hindered by the ghost of a woman who lived there 90 years before and is determined to protect the tree. So that's going to be on January 13th, 14th, 20th and 21st. Tickets are $23, $18 concession. You can book them online at tryBooking.com/CELAM, but I'm sure you'll find it under the Oak Tree, or if you go into the City of Gosnells website, you can find it. And our very own Ron Arthurs, who is on Magnificent Seven, is actually part of the cast. So, yeah. I'm also hoping to get Fiona on to Drive to have a chat with Simon and James Ray next week. So if you want to listen to her talking about the story and get a better idea of if you're interested in going or not, then, listening to James Ray or Drive.
Fantastic. What 3 words? What 3 words?
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually an interesting segue, isn't it? From the lady who was found using Find My iPhone. She was 200 feet, metres, whatever it was, down a cliff. Yeah. And they were able to obviously get to her, but Find My iPhone has an interesting range. But we were told recently by a person very dear to us that there is a new way of geolocating within the world. Mm-hmm. So my understanding is, and correct me here if I'm wrong, that the fabulous people who came up with this idea, have created a grid around the Earth that breaks every part of the Earth down to a 3x3 square metre space.
I can read the actual stuff from the website if you like.
Go for it.
Just while I'm doing that, what3words.com, and it's the number 3. So what3words.com if you want to bring that up on your webpage and have a look.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's the simplest way to talk about location. So it's all about giving somebody your address. and using a GPS coordinate. So street addresses aren't always accurate enough to specify precise locations. Like I know people that you get the street address, you go there and it's like, it's not there.
Yeah.
Like it's just not there. It's behind or in the back of something or around something, crazy things.
Food deliveries, my parents, it gets delivered to the street next door.
Yeah. And the other thing, of course, is things like building entrances. It doesn't take that into account.
That's right.
And it doesn't exist for parks in many rural areas, So if you
finding your car when you lose your car in a car park.
Crazy things like that.
Genius.
So it makes it hard to find places and prevents people from describing exactly where help is needed in an emergency. All right. So then they created this thing called What 3 Words. So What 3 Words has basically divided the world into 3 metre squares, and each square is a unique combination of 3 words. So if you think about it, they're using the combinations to give you statistical multiples, right? So we use that in a whole bunch of different things in computing, like the binary systems and stuff like that. So by using 3 different words, you can really change your location by just a little bit.
Yes.
By changing just one of those 3 words, etc. So the idea, if you were able to jump in to the app, what3words.com, you can go straight to a web page. So on any device, just go to what3words.com and it'll bring it up, or you can install an app because there are, apps have a couple of nicer extra features. But basically, it brings up a, much like Google Maps, or if you're using Apple Maps, it brings up a textual view of the world that you're looking at.
Yeah.
And there's a little crosshair, so you can tap on that to find your exact current location. Now you may need to tell your device to enable location services, because that's usually a security thing that they set up. But once you've enabled location services, you tap on that little thing, it will show where you are. So I'm clicking on now and it shows me a little dot next to Heritage FM radio station in Gospels.
Yeah, where we are, yes.
And if I zoom in slightly to the map, I can then see a grid, and it shows me all of these little squares, and it's pointing to the closest geolocation to probably where it's triangulating my phone through the closest phone tower, roughly where it is. But if I wanted to find the actual front door of the studio, I could tap on that little square that's closest to the front door, and it will give me 3 words.
And what 3 words are they?
The 3 words are fading stubbornly notifies.
Okay, that's not particularly memorable.
No, but what you can do is get close to that. So I can tap an adjacent one, which is Unity ranking scone or scone.
Okay.
Another one next to that is flowing forearm beanstalk.
So you can have a little bit of fun with your particular property or your particular location and find something that is going to be memorable and it's going to work for you.
And that'll take you close enough to where you want to be.
So in our little station here, we have like 3 different entrances to the building, plus we have a car park, so you could use any one of those as the location that you want a delivery driver or an emergency services vehicle or whatever to come to. And do you think in the future we're going to have those used more often? Because I could imagine websites and that sort of thing saying, the location is, rather than, 33 Mills Road is going to say the location is, sausage barbecue motorbike.
I think a combination of both would work really well, because people are going to be familiar with the street name. So I think a street name and then maybe 2 of those words might help. But yeah, look, it's a great concept. This one's not bad. Museums, ironic, admit.
And of course you could, I wonder if you can have them in any order. Or if
No, they would be specific.
They have to be in that order, okay.
Yep, because it'll be XYZ coordinates or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Good point.
But yeah, what3words.com, have a play. It's an interesting little thing. Finished, reboot, swoop.
Okay, I'm going to go to a couple of songs while Tony's going to figure out what we're going to be calling the station from now on. I promised you Come On Eileen from the Dexy Midnight Runners, only because midnight was in the name of the group. And Joy to the World, 3 Dog Night. Let's try that as well.
Okay, maybe.
Or not. Okay, let's go to a different song. Let's go to Whiter Shade of Pale by Lockie Dolly.
dive into New Year's resolutions. It's all about the buttons, isn't it?
It is. Buttons on, buttons off. You wouldn't think having 12 buttons would be so difficult, and yet sometimes it is.
Okay, so we forgot to press the button to play the music, and then we forgot to press the button to turn the mics off. So you got all the backstage gossip about how we mucked up. There you go.
Yeah, that's okay. We can take that out and post-edit, right?
We can, including this little chinwag.
Yes.
Deep dive?
We are we were going to deep dive into something else, but we changed our minds because we want something nice and light and happy for New Year.
Uplifting even.
Yes. So I've been house sitting the last couple of nights. It's been really lovely. And I've been looking at my New Year's resolutions for next year. I don't necessarily like the term New Year's resolutions, but I do like the idea of a turnover in year, and maybe I'm going to reconsider how I'm going to do things slightly differently next year. That's what I've been working on. And that reminded me that a little while ago with the City of Bayswater, we ran through a seminar or a talk about how to use technology for wellness. And I really enjoyed this particular little course that we did. And it reminded me that there are so many different ways that we can use technology, not only to make our lives easier, but to improve our wellness. And that's something that I wanted to focus on very much going into 2023. And I suspect I'm not alone. So in this particular instance, I'm talking about wellness as being an active process of making choices to create a happy, healthy, content and fulfilling life.
That's a big ask.
It is. And there's some theories about, just improving 1% per day or 5% per day makes a big difference. And I think focusing on it and trying to figure out how we can make just a little bit of an improvement for next year is helpful.
Would you break wellness into types like emotional wellness and
absolutely
physical wellness?
Absolutely.
Because most people think of your body being healthy and wonderful and that kind of stuff, but then there's that whole emotional stuff.
Yeah, I've actually got a number of different categories here we're going to talk about, and including social connectedness. I think that's really important and comes under wellness as something that we don't necessarily talk about. And I don't think we necessarily talk about using technology to improve wellness. In fact, there's a lot of focus on using too much technology can be
detrimental
or harmful, but we don't focus on how we can use technology to really help. I'm going to jump into it a bit later on, but in the last couple of days I re-downloaded an app called Finch, which is the cutest little bird who you have on an app, and he goes off on these little journeys during the day and comes back with, helpful messages. But as part of this little program for wellness, you actually put in either the goals that they offer you, so that you can work through goals like it might be spending some time focusing on being grateful or doing some stretching first thing in the morning or that sort of thing. But you can also add your own goals, and that's really helpful because he's that little guy there that reminds you, like he's popped up now and said, it's midday, you should be drinking more water. And
I left it at home.
And as an app, you actually have these reminders, but also the opportunity of ticking the little, the mark off and getting a couple of little points, which you can use to buy him a jumper, although, you don't want to do this season.
Incentive.
That's right, yeah. And it's nice for me. I like lists and I like being able to tick them off and saying that I've achieved those and going to the end of the day and going, yes, I did all of those things on my list today that were important. And I feel that little level of guilt or inefficiency or something if I miss one of those, and it's more incentive to go back and make sure I've done it. So even things like medications, because it pops up and reminds you to take them, or drinking more water, having more exercise, doing your stretching, or any of those personal goals. Some of them could be, once a week to make sure you reconnect with somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time, or, once a month, make sure you've, sent a message to your sister or something like that. Anyway, wellness. So social connectedness is actually what we're talking about there a little bit, and there's a number of ways we've talked about before using social media to connect with people. Last week we spoke about using Facebook or text messages, or, the phone is arguably technology that we use to connect with people overseas or even local. And I think from a wellness point of view, it's important to me that I focus on not only the quality of social connectedness or people that I have in my life, but also the quality of those, and go through and determine which are the connections that are important to me, the ones that lift me up. And I've recognised recently in my own life that those people who connect with me all the time and not necessarily the ones that I should be focused on connecting with. They're the ones that are often there and they're available, but they're also the ones that often, might need some help or some support. And the ones that don't reach out to me are often the ones that I need to put in that extra effort to reach out to, because they're busy and active and doing other things. So that's going to go into my little Finch program, is to make sure that I review who I've spoken to at the end of each week and reach out to those people who maybe I need to connect with that I haven't.
It's sort of drawing parallels to me about notifications and the noise that you have.
Yes.
And how you can, what we're talking about doing to your feed. I can't remember the buzzword we use, but customising your feed in such a way that...
Crafting your feed.
So we don't have so much noise from... have you got one of those friends that sends you email jokes all the time? And it's like just every day filling your inbox with these jokes, and it's like, oh, would you just stop already? So you send them to spam or whatever, and these cheeky buggers, they put a message in, a one-liner or something like that, so you have to read them because there might be something in there other than just this joke.
Oh, we're going to go into clickbait some other time.
So yeah, I can see a parallel there with you choose who
is going to take your time and your energy, and if you're into spoon theory, who's going to take your spoons. I also downloaded a widget. We were talking about them a while ago on my phone, and it was about digital well-being, and there's a lot more on my Android phone that I'm going to look into about digital well-being and talk about it later on. But it immediately popped up this morning and said, this is how long you've been on the phone already today, and this is how much time you've spent on socials and that sort of thing, which is a bit eye-opening.
It is, yeah, and the number of hours screen time and which apps you've been in and what you've been doing in those apps, you can drill down quite a lot into that.
That's right.
When you talk about these social connected, so are we talking about Facebook and things like that?
Partly. I also want to talk about meeting people in real life. That still happens.
Oh.
If you haven't had a chance to have a look at it, there is a site called Meetup, MEETUP. You can get the app, or you can have a look at, I'm sure it'll be www.meetup.com.au. And they provide opportunities for groups to advertise the group that is getting together. And they are almost always open for other people to join them. And some of them are fascinating. So if you're after that little bit of a nudge to get out and meet like-minded people, that is a brilliant way to go. It can be anything from people who want to do pub crawls and get together. It can be single people. It can be people that want to do a writing group together. My daughter and I did a meetup group making cheese. There is an amazing there's Babington, all sorts of groups, and you can drill down, of course, by what you might be interested in, by location, and usually those groups are free. Otherwise, they'll let you know if there's a small surcharge attached to them. But yeah, a great way to maintain social connectedness, which is something that is quite important.
And of course, there's the radio. Listening to us and all of our wonderful ideas.
There absolutely is. Speaking of which, I'm going to grab another song. This one is Old Habits Die Hard, which I thought would be relevant. This is Mick Jagger and Dave Stewart, and then we'll come back to do some more about social connectedness.
Free. You see, I bounce back quicker than most, but I'm half delirious. It's too mysterious. You walk through my walls like a ghost, and I take every day at a time. I'm proud as a lion in his lair. Now there's no denying it, no decrying it. You're all tangled up in my hair. Old habits die hard. Old soldiers just fade away. Old habits die hard. Harder than November rain. Old habits die hard. Old soldiers just fade away. sunny days. I dream of such inanities, such insanities. I'm lost like a kid in a maze. But I never taken your calls. You see, I put the block on my phone. I act like an addict, I just got to have it. I never can leave it alone. Yeah. Oh, habits die hard. Oh, so fast I fade away. Oh, habits die hard. And harder than November rain. Oh, habits die hard. Oh, so fast just fade away. Oh, habits are hard enough to feel the pain. And I can't give you up. Can't leave you alone. It's so hard, and it's hard enough to feel the pain. Oh, habits die hard. Oh, habits die hard. November rain. Oh, habits die hard. Oh, so fast to fade away. Oh, habits die hard. And hard enough to feel the
Station sponsor Reed's Remotes are a family-owned and run business. They offer a one-stop shop to most remotes and keys, stocking WA's largest range of replacement garage and gate remotes and batteries to fit all makes and models. Replacement keys from spare keys to house keys, flip keys and smart proximity keys. They are fully licensed to cut and program spare car keys. Located east of Vic Park, you can find them online or in store. Head to reedsremotes.com.au. Station sponsor.
MRB 8165.
107.3 HFM, making IT easy on this beautiful day. It's about 1:20 in the afternoon on New Year's Eve. Are we calling it Eve yet? New Year's afternoon? No,
yeah, I think after lunchtime it becomes.
Okay, Happy New Year's Eve, everyone.
Well, it'll be Salamat Singal.
You're going to try and break out your what about the Italian?
Afternoon. Oh, pomeriggio.
Oh, there we go. I could do sign language, but nobody would understand it. So there we go. Good afternoon. Talking about wellness and using apps as we're going into 2023 and how to use technology to make your life better in some fashion. I don't want to bang on about exercise because it gets banged on enough. However, YouTube, I'm going to keep on coming back to that in a number of different ways as we talk about wellness. It's amazing how many different types of exercise routines you can access through YouTube. If you want to do yoga, or if you want to do meditation, or if you want to do something very active, or Zumba, or assistance in how to do strengthening exercises, or stretching, or running, all of those things, there is a YouTube video
More than one.
more than one that will show you how to do it or to help you with it, or if you've got headphones and a phone to take you with you on the journey. YouTube has amazing stuff. It's also got a lot of high energy music, so if you want to do some running or want to sort of get your heartbeat up, then it's got things there that you can follow. So go down the YouTube vortex specifically for how to exercise or how to use that technology to facilitate you. There's also a group called Silver Sneakers, which is specifically an app for older people and takes you through some different programs that might be helpful. And MyFitnessPal is another app, which I think there is a free version, although there is also a version you can pay for. And that will take you through the different exercise type programs that you can use. And it gives you the opportunity to add friends to it so that you can challenge each other or encourage each other, or they can watch your evolving exercise routine as a bit more motivation.
Also food. They also have recipes and stuff like that come through the feed on MyFitnessPal as well.
Yes.
Which is quite interesting. And it also allows you to track your progress, which is what I use it for.
Right.
If you want to do old school, just find how your weight's going from day to day. It reminds you every couple of weeks, hey, you haven't jumped on the scales for a little while.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, oh, really? But it's a useful exercise. But the collaborative angle is fantastic because it pops up in your notifications saying, Kay's just done a 1 mile jog.
And it's like, I should get out there and do something. Yes. Yeah, that's
stuff.
right.
Anyway, good fun stuff.
Another couple of apps that you can consider is Yoga Studio and Yoga with Down Dog.
Really?
Yes.
As in the downward dog?
That's it, yeah, the yoga position. Both of those have got some great programs if you want to get into something that's, I was going to say gentle, but yoga is not necessarily gentle, depends on your level.
And don't forget the Wii Fit.
Yes.
The Wii was a great thing in its day, and it still works and it's still supported.
And really important, that balance board, for maintaining your balance. And strengthening those muscles that enable you to maintain your balance. For younger people, it's an excellent activity just for general health, and for older people, it stops that, or can help prevent those falls if you're maintaining that exercise. And I imagine they're fairly easy to come by now, secondhand on Gumtree and eBay and that sort of thing. So
not expensive.
That's the Wii console, WII.
Yep.
And then you need to get the Wii Fit, which is a program or a disc that goes into it, and then the Wii balance board.
Yep. Any of the second-hand stores or the cash converter kind of places.
They're a lot of fun and worth setting up, and setting it up in your lounge room, and competing with some other people around, or competing with yourself or against the computer for tennis or boxing or balance activities. There's the one where you're standing on a piece of ice and the penguins are trying to get on or off the piece of ice, and you have to balance to try and help them or help them get fish.
Crazy things like that. And remember Samba del Amigo? We used to play that all the time. Shaking the maracas to the music. Great heart starter.
Absolutely. Now, once you've done all the heart starting and you need to get some rest, let's focus on sleep. And they call it sleep hygiene, which is a terrible term, but I think we all know that not getting enough sleep can be, super difficult. Sleep Cycle is a program that we've spoken about before, so let's not go into that too much, but it will enable you to track how well you're sleeping, whether you're sleeping light or getting your solid REM sleep. And my favourite feature is that it will allow you to set a amount of time within which, when you're at your lightest level of sleep, it will wake you up or start the alarm, and the alarm starts light and builds up to something that's more significant.
So just clarifying that, if you're wanting to get up at 7 o'clock, you set an alarm for 7 o'clock, and it will wake you as close as it can to 7 o'clock during your light sleeping phase. So it could be 6:45 by the time it starts to wake up, or it might be 7:05.
You can set a range, I believe. So you can either set wake me up at 7, that's it, or you can set a half hour, 45 minute, maybe 1 hour range, and say any time between 7 and 8 wake me up, or between 6 and 7.
And if you have a nap in the afternoon, if you're one of those kinds of people that has to have a nap during the day, you'll know what this is like. If you sleep for 15-20 minutes and you actually go to sleep 15, you wake up refreshed. If you sleep for 45 minutes,
45 is still okay.
Okay, well, somewhere in between.
Hour,
somewhere in between, you're in your deepest part of the sleep, and you wake up just feeling terrible.
Yeah.
So it's important to find those light phases for you to wake up in.
Yep. So 15-minute cycles, 45-minute cycles are all, the first 15 minutes or 45-minute cycles are good. Keeping in mind that's actually from when you fall asleep. So if it takes you like half an hour to get to sleep, that's going to, make it a bit
that's
tricky.
my whole problem. I lie down for an hour and I might be awake for 45 of those minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. But, try not to set your alarm for an hour because that's actually the worst time to set for. Let's go for another song and then we can come back and talk about My Little Friend the Finch again. Ella Fitzgerald did a song called What Are You Doing New Year's Eve? Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, a few other people have covered it, but I quite like Ella's version. And then I was going to answer the question with an Elvis song that I didn't start with, which is Let's Have a Party.
All right.
When the bells all ring and the horns all blow and the couples we know are fondly kissing, will I be with you or will I be among the missing? Maybe it's much too early in the game. Oh, but I thought I'd ask you just the same. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Eve. Wonder whose arms will hold you good and tight when it's exactly 12 o'clock that night, welcoming in the new year, New Year's Eve. Maybe I'm crazy to suppose I'd ever be the one you chose out of the 1,000 invitations you'll receive. Ah, but in case I stand one little chance, here comes the jackpot question in advance. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Eve. I stand one little chance. Here comes the jackpot question in advance. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Eve. Oh, what are you doing New Year's Eve?
People like to rock, some people like to roll, but moving and the grooving gonna satisfy my soul. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Sitting to the store, let's buy some more. Let's have a party tonight. I've never kissed a bear, I've never kissed a goon, but I can shake a chicken in the middle of the room. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Sailing to the store, let's buy some more. Let's have a party tonight. Now Honky Tonky Joe is knocking at the door. Bring him in and fill him up and set him on the floor. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's have a party.
Churchman and Banjup. We're the voice of your community. 107.3 HFM.
107.3 HFM, the voice of your community, is proudly supported by
Hugh Jones, member for Darling Range.
Dome Cafe, Armidale and Kelmscott.
Become a corporate member and support the voice of your community. Go to the webpage heritagefm.org for email details or to find out more.
Why pay new prices when you can give something previously loved a new life, save money, and help save the planet? At Second Chance Op Shop in Kelmscott, we have an amazing selection of books, clothing, and homewares, all great quality and at low, low prices. So why not refresh your library, wardrobe, and give your home some finishing touches by visiting our shop on 255 Railway Avenue, Kelmscott. Second Chance Op Shop. Find us on Facebook and come and have a browse. Station sponsor.
Thanks for joining us. It's 1:34 on this beautiful day, and we're talking about wellness and New Year's resolutions for 2023, how to use technology to maybe make that easier. And I was talking before about a cute little game called Finch, or a little app called Finch. That's actually what it's called. And you have a little bird who gets hatched, and you get to choose a name. You can scroll through all the different names, and then once you've got a name, he will actually help you find goals. And it's often about making simple and small changes and trying to stick with them. Mindfulness and meditation is in the news a lot recently. It's probably always been there, but it seems to be there more, particularly post-COVID. And I'll come back to YouTube again as being a brilliant way of finding some guided meditations or mindfulness opportunities. I know that I was with a family event recently and had my laptop plugged into the big screen TV, and I was able to put on a YouTube, I think they called it live, I'm not sure if it actually was, but it was a seascape underwater, so you're watching massive turtles and fish, and there was background music, and it was just stunning to sit there and watch, or just have it going around in the background. And that kind of thing, that you can just try and let all your worries disappear and focus on just something as beautiful as that, is very much mindfulness, as I understand it. There's a couple of other apps other than YouTube. Headspace has been in the news recently. They give you some excellent opportunities for mindfulness and meditation, and they can guide you through that process. And there's an app called Calm, which has something fairly similar. So CALM, Calm.
I think all of these, you can probably go to YouTube and watch little videos on them.
You absolutely can. Yep. Yes. So if you want to get a better feel for what it's going to do for you. And I mean, I've picked two there that are in the news, but there are so many different apps. And just sitting down and going through the different types of apps and reviewing which ones might be the most suited for you and the kind of mindfulness that you're looking for, because it varies from person to person. So whether you're after something more active or less active, or guided, or just self, But there's lots of technology out there to help you. Did you want to add anything to that, Tony?
No, I'm thirsty.
Drinking water, yes. Drinking water, if you're trying to do it for any of the good reasons it's healthy for you, there are apps to remind you. There is actually an app called Drink Water Reminder. That's simple. It's a free app, and it will go through and give you a pretty little picture, and gives you the opportunity to tick off how many glasses of water you've had for the day.
There is something about drinking water, though, that my GP told me about that I hadn't really realised. You know, there's this kind of loose thing that you're supposed to have 8 glasses a day or something like that. You have less water requirement as you get older.
Right.
So
is that because our cups of tea increase?
Maybe. But you can actually do yourself harm by drinking too much water. So you need to kind of find that balance. My mother suffered from dehydration in her later part of life, and we didn't diagnose that. Even though she was drinking, she wasn't drinking enough. So there's this happy little medium you've got to find. And look, if you're thirsty, if you're feeling your mouth is dry, you're probably dehydrated already.
It's very easy as we get into later years of life to try not to drink, because you know that you're going to suffer the number of laps that you're going to have to do afterwards. So
well, there is that.
Yeah.
There is that. Maybe drink a bit less towards the evening when it's time to go to bed. But
which means focus on having more in the early part of the day.
You really do need to flush your system out because we eat lots of rubbish and toxins and all that kind of stuff, and drinking water during the day will flush all that stuff out. So going to the toilet's a good thing. You know, you shouldn't really be...
You just might want a time when you want to focus most of that effort.
Anyway...
Setting goals and building and breaking habits. I don't have any specific apps here for you, although there's lots of them. But it is interesting, as Tony said before, to think about the dimensions of wellness. And I'm just going to run through, in case you've got a piece of paper handy and you're frantically writing down notes, that they suggest occupational wellness, emotional wellness, social wellness, physical, financial, spiritual, intellectual, and environmental are all the different categories that you might want to focus on for the coming year.
There's a lot there, and each of those are vastly different yet subtly different.
Absolutely right. One last thing before we go to another song is self-care practices look very different for everyone. There's lots of, again, YouTube, and there's apps. Self-care can be anything around spending quality time by yourself, finding something that you enjoy. Skincare is something that my daughter focuses on very heavily, and I hadn't realised until she brought it to my attention that for many people that is a self-care opportunity where you can just enjoy the experience of looking after yourself. So trying to find apps that might help you, using YouTube, using the internet to Google search different types of self-care practices so you can find the one that's going to be best suited to you for the coming year.
There are some things about self-care when it comes to rubbing lotions and stuff on your body. You're activating all sorts of energies too, because you're playing with your kind of meridians and your pressure points and all that kind of stuff. Stuff that I've realised since my daughter's been pushing skincare down my throat regimes. As I'm getting older. Be mindful, Dad, about the sun and all that kind of stuff, and really take it seriously. So I've got a skincare regime now where I wash in the shower with a face cleanser and put some moisturiser on after and stuff like that. And it actually, once you get into the habit of doing it, it really feels nice. And when you don't do it, you miss it.
Yeah.
So, self-care is a wonderful thing.
It also establishes those endorphins, the oxytocin of touch, whether it's contact with another person or self-touch doesn't sound great. Also builds those endorphins, which is really helpful as well, or releases those endorphins, which makes us feel calm and happy and content.
And you can put all that stuff into Finch.
You can indeed. And there is an age group that has the lowest number or the lowest amount of physical contact, and that's something that really bothers me, that's changing as we have so much focus on consent and on hugging and whether you can touch people and in what way, that's being reduced even more. So if you have consensual friends and people around you who enjoy those hugs and those hugs that last that extra bit of time to release those endorphins, and that can be an extra good part of self-care and helping each other. We have some more to cover, but we are going to go back to ABBA.
Oh.
Yes, my mum emailed me while you were taking a break, and she said that last song was terrible. I'll have to go back and try and figure out which one it was, but we followed that by Ella Fitzgerald and Elvis, so I'm sure she's happy again, and now we're going to do ABBA, so we'll see if we get another email.
Okay.
Champagne and the fireworks are through. Here we are, me and you, feeling lost and feeling blue. It's the end of the party and the morning seems so grey, so unlike yesterday. Now's the time for us to say Happy New Year. Happy New Year, may we all have a vision now and then of a world where every neighbor is a friend. Happy New Year,
And we're joining ABBA with wondering what you're going to do for your happy new year and talking about wellness going into 2023. We've talked about a few different things. Another one I'd like to cover is paying it forward. Some of the best speakers that talk about self-improvement and how to create a happy life all talk about gifting your time for other people. Feeling gratitude for what you have can be heightened by helping other people that don't have as much. Volunteering WA has an amazing list of groups where you can volunteer, anything from sitting with somebody in a care home who might not have any loved ones to performing music or helping in animal shelters. The ideas are about as many as you can imagine. The local council's City of Armidale also has a facility where you can get in touch with them and you can volunteer your services. And of course, just mentioning that 107.3, we have opportunities here to join us to volunteer for our organisation as well.
Good stuff.
We mentioned it a little bit before. I was talking about endorphins and oxytocin, increasing your endorphins, releasing endorphins as part of self-care. Also, other ways that you can do that is by creating art. If you don't have an art project or haven't, maybe this is the year for you. Listening to good music, of course, 107.3 or other opportunities. Intimacy, exercise boosts endorphins. That's one of the reasons they talk about a runner's high. Not that you have to run necessarily, but anything that's a bit aerobic can boost those endorphins. Watching a good movie, the company of friends, and of course laughter. I will refer you back to YouTube.
If you want to stream radio stations around the world, that kind of stuff, as well as 107.3 HFM, Community Radio Plus is the preferred option for streaming our services. However, there are other apps out there as well. V-Radio I quite like. TuneIn is also available. Spotify also does stuff like that as well. So there are lots of streaming options. So yeah, play around with tech in that area too.
If you're going to look into something like Spotify, they don't just do music, they'll also do things like guided meditations that we talked about before as well.
Various
they'll do
podcasts.
Yeah, that's it. Try and use the opportunity to reach out to loved ones. There are lots of opportunities, as we've talked about, to do so either through technology or just directly. I also want to mention here, just to cover our bases a little bit, that Beyond Blue is an organisation that you can get in touch with if you're not feeling well, if on behalf of yourself or on a family member or a friend you need somebody to reach out to them. You can reach them on 1300 22 4636. Not only do they have a helpline that you can call if you're struggling, but they also have a web chat and email. And email they guarantee to get back to you within 24 hours. Personally, being a bit of a techie person, I love the idea of the web chat opportunity. So that's beyondblue.org.
What's the number again, Bob?
The number again was 1300 22 4636. I remember when I was pregnant with Jess, I was trying to go into a particular birthing centre and they were insisting that I go to do some counselling beforehand, and I was absolutely anti it. And I happened to mention it to my dad, who said, "Don't be silly, in America dogs have therapists these days." And he was right. So the older I get, the more I realise that having somebody that you can talk to can be really helpful, regardless of whether you feel that you need it or not. So if you have access to counselling services or therapy services, a local psych or BetterHelp is one of the online technologies that you can use to access therapists. They can be amazing, whether it's relationship problems or aging or just somebody else to talk through things that you might not have had an opportunity to talk through before. Smiling Minds is another app that you might want to have a look at. While you're talking about minds, stimulating your mind, creating cognitive excess, which is a way to help stave off dementia and Alzheimer's by creating extra pathways. Not that it's necessarily guaranteed, but it can be a bit of fun along the way. There are lots of ways to do it. There's lots of apps that help you. Luminosity is a good one. Games. I'm looking at Tony nodding his head. Yep.
Yeah, there's a whole heap of them. You probably want to stay away from things like, even though they're fun, Sudoku, because it's very one note. Once you learn how to do it, it's just a matter of using the patterns of numbers. So you want to have something that changes all the time. That's where Lumosity comes from. They kind of focus on different activities that stretch your mind in different directions, if you like.
Creating
doing
new pathways is about learning something new. So,
That's right.
yeah, if you've already got the skill of pseudoco and you're doing the same thing, it's not learning something new and creating those new pathways.
It's almost better to do crossword, like words with friends or something like that, because you've got different combinations of letters to do, and you're thinking of new words all the time. And if you're the sort of person that's quite happy to do a bit of research, you could have a dictionary that you could use to play with things like that. So there's more scope to stretch your mind than doing Sudoku.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Duolingo is another one that fits into that category. If you want to learn another language, brush up on your bit of Indonesian so that you know how to say good afternoon.
Duolingo, fantastic.
Free, as well. TED Talks. If you haven't had a look at TED Talks, you are missing out. Technology, Engineering and Design, I think, is the acronym.
Mm-hmm.
They have amazing guests from any walk of life who are experts in their field talking about whatever it is that they think is important. There's an app for it where you can actually pull up just a certain amount of time that you might have to spare. I spent a weekend painting a house and listened to back-to-back TED Talks over the weekend, and it was one of the most amazing weekends I've ever had. So TED Talks is a exceptional way to stimulate your mind, create that cognitive excess, and give you topics that you can then ring us up and tell us about.
Good stuff.
Songs, we're heading towards the end. It is 8 minutes to 2. I'm going to sneak in another song before we come back and do our farewell. I wish to play Man in the Mirror, one of my favourite songs, and definitely an artist who in some of his music was trying to create a better world, in my personal opinion.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A sonorous disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If
wish you all the very best for changes or staying the same for 2023, whatever it is that you desire out of the year. We wish you the very best for it. But we will be back wishing you the very best for it between 7 and 10-ish this evening. So, feel free
We'll give it a go. We'll start around 7 and just see how we go.
That's it. See how we go.
For those of you that have played with what 3 words, the best 3 words I've come up with for Heritage FM is recall trains unattended.
Okay, I might have to challenge you on that because I thought I came up with one that had barbecue and motorbikes in it, which I thought was good too. So that can be our challenge. Or maybe people can fiddle around with it and get back to us this evening and ring in and tell us what they've come up with. So, no Fourth Dimension, unfortunately, and Rock Aria is on holidays. So, listen to some great music between now and then, or take a break and come back with us at 7 for New Year's Eve special with us. Next week, we will be talking about changing ringtones and notification sounds. When you're changing ringtones, I recommend you do it when you're by yourself with a loved one because it drives them nuts. As we mentioned, we're going to be talking about online consent and etiquette, otherwise known as netiquette online. We're going to talk about Life 360, the app, the one that was actually it wasn't the one that was so useful for the lady that fell down the ravine, but
same.
And we have an interesting music theme. We're going to be focusing on songs that feature the harmonica.
Okay.
Something a little bit different.
Yeah.
What can you say?
Not much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. We're going to go out to a workout remix of Old Lang Syne, and then I'm going to follow that with a song called Kingdom from the local artist Fiona Ray, who's talking about coming home, which is a really lovely song.
Thanks for joining us today, folks, and hopefully we'll catch you later on.
Yeah. See you in a couple of hours.
Bye.
Play
place we used to go, where we wandered, running out our kitchen door, away from home. Where we wandered all the streets till it was dark, and our mothers called our names across the park, and we run home. Oh, say the word, my love, and I'll go, and we'll run home. We climbed and we'd look out a whole kingdom with clear eyes, and you'd point out home. Oh, take my hand, my love, and I'll go, and we'll run home. It's calling out to me too, and now it leads me right back to your door. How can we go back? We can make it feel like home.